Hi, it's Luna. Yes, we're tacky. We still have up the Christmas tree. Today, I'm going to be making stir-fried noodles. However, we're not going to use the fish sauce or the oyster sauce or any of that because I'm allergic to shrimp. And also because oyster sauce is expensive. Um, so I have cut about half, almost half, effectively half, considering that you have to leave part of this out whenever you use the other half. And I have cut and shredded this. It's in my old butter container here. I have cut up an onion, a red onion, and it doesn't really matter all that much what kind of onion you use. Although I like to use red onion, we are effectively using it because we ended up getting a $5 pizza one night, so the meal plan is off. And that onion needs used. This also did not get used. This is a red bell pepper. And if you don't know, these are, you don't want to waste these. They cost too much. So, and here are our radishes. There is one bunch of radishes cut up in here, washed and sliced and all that. And instead of using the traditional noodles, we are going to use a pack of dry ramen. We're not going to be using the seasoning packet. I usually don't. We actually have a container of just the seasoning packets around here somewhere. I think we're starting a second one now. So I'm going to go ahead and pause this so that I can take my walker here and go get the oil. We're going to be using olive oil, and I'm also going to move some stuff here and place the computer so that you can actually see what I'm doing. Brussels sprouts off. Okay. Adding to our list of ingredients, we're going to add some meatless chicken strips. So this will be vegetarian. I don't think anything in here has any animal products. That might change. Occasionally we do add a little bit of cheese. But it is effectively vegetarian, at least. We do like to do some vegetarian meals. That has actually gotten harder, because now we do have an egg allergy in the house, and shrimp allergy in the house, and I have seasonal allergies for every season, so I'm sorry if I sound like a horse. Okay, back to pausing, and I'm gonna get this situated. I've got all my ingredients out. Okay, I'm gonna sit down here. Sorry. These are my spices. Onion powder. A little bit of ground mustard. This is ginger. You can also cut it fresh. It's actually kind of better if you do. I have the horseradish in the fridge that I will be adding. This is paprika, chili powder. We have some curry powder. I keep it in here because it keeps it nice and sealed. Our peppercorn medley and our garlic powder. We also have a little bit of soy sauce. Alright, let's get to it. First I'm going to put in a little bit of oil. And then I'm going to add my radishes. Now, we want to start off with the radishes because they take the longest to cook and not be full power. Oh, we also have our mushrooms. Apparently we were running out and I didn't realize it. Either that or someone ate some while I wasn't looking. Okay, now I'm gonna lean on this counter over here. This is so that we don't burn our veggies on the outside while they're cooking on the inside. Now, normally you would use a wok. I used to have a wok. I do not have a wok anymore. Chris!
Sorry.
Now, I'm sitting here because I need to use my hands. That's basically it. Now, the temperature that this is on is 350. You make sure that it's solidly there. It does not take long once we start this for it to get to the point where we can start adding other stuff. The next thing that we want to add, now this part, it's going to be moving quickly because some components don't cook as... We're actually adding the onions not because they cook more slowly than the cabbage, but because you want to get them in your heated area more directly before you add other things. And this may just be our household, but we have people in the house who do not like onions that are uncooked. Now next I'm going to add my soy sauce. We don't want to add too much because it is high in sodium. And that is basically bad for everything. And since we are not using some of the sauces that you would normally use for a dish like this, and we also do not have 5 spice, which you might add to this. It is, I forget which Asian country, that is a big part of the world, but I do know that there are a couple different ones that use it. People that come from there will often use it, and people that are second in their generation will as well. Well, there are also a lot of us who are like, well, maybe I want to try this, so I'm going to do it. It is expensive. It is also often very specialty. So, if you skip it, it's okay. You're just cooking for your family. Or yourself. I'm going to add my whole onion in here. Now, you can half this. You can just use half if that is your preference. This one over here. Say hi, Chris. No. Say hi from where you are. You're doing your schoolwork.
Hi.
This one eats like a small army. So, I'm using a whole onion.
Yum, yum.
Because the small army has upped his ante because growth spurt. Now, as I go, before I do anything else to kind of help my timing, I'm only going to use a little bit of this mustard powder. I'm going to tap it until a little bit comes out. Now, if you need a measurement for it, it is roughly a third of a teaspoon, maybe a quarter of a teaspoon, closer to a quarter. And now I'm going to go with my onion powder, which I'm going to... I've never measured, so I couldn't tell you. Although roughly probably about a teaspoon and a half, but I'm estimating. Just do it to taste. Experiment. This is my ginger. Dried ground ginger does not have a lot of flavor. So I'm going to put more in it and expect less of it. Because it does not have that sharp flavor. That's what we're going to add our horseradish for. I'm going to put a little bit of paprika in. Paprika will not do much. Am I out of paprika? It is more for color. I am out of paprika. Well, that is embarrassing. Okay, now a little bit of chili powder. We don't want a lot because we're not trying to make it spicy. We're just trying to enhance the flavors. Here's my garlic powder. Just going to solidly bring that in. In case it wasn't obvious, because I forgot to say this is an electric skillet. Let's see. I could put a lid on this. You can do that. I just like how it cooks this way. I will probably put a lid on it at some point though, as we add more ingredients. But I want that water to kind of cook off a little bit first. Next, I am adding my bell pepper. Now, for this, you may actually prefer to use yellow just for the color. You can also add more bell pepper if you prefer. Something that I have done, and I will actually be doing with the other half of the... Brain does not want to remember words today. Cabbage. The other half of the cabbage, I will actually be cutting it up and freezing it. You can do that. It is usually best if you have fresh ingredients. However, it is better than canning, and canning equipment where I live is actually super expensive. It is considered more of a hobby here than it is a necessity, so they upcharge it like nobody's business. So it is usually better if you have the freezer space to freeze. The one caveat with that is that if you lose power, you are pretty much fricked. Now next, I'm going to add my cabbage. Now, you may notice something. Usually stir-fried noodles are a little bit heavier on the noodles than they are the vegetables. Now, stir-fried noodles also usually use green onion, not red onion. And we did this because we actually went to go buy green onion, and I'm growing green onion, but I don't have enough to be comfortable with kind of consistently harvesting them yet. I'm still working on that. I have this big pot, under a grow light, and I'm working on it. We're getting there, but we're not quite there. There's not enough for me to harvest, enough to use in a recipe like this without supplementing with something else, and without basically taking too much and killing them. And I'm trying to grow them so I can just harvest bits of the stalks and they can keep growing. You can do that, by the way. Yes? Let me see.
Not quite done yet.
That is awesome. You did that so that you could be in there. I love you. He is building the White House.
Washington White House out of Legos.
And then we're going to write a report on it.
A what?
Okay, so let me get this. Now, whenever we get it to where there's a little bit of moisture at the bottom, but not a lot, is when we're going to cover it. Now, you might be asking yourself, why hasn't she added the fake chicken yet? The veggie chicken, as we call it. Well, excuse me while I kick myself for forgetting to add the curry powder. And I also have my ground cumin, which apparently spilled out. That's okay. Now, the curry powder also adds a little bit of color. I'm just going to use that. And now I'm going to do the forbidden thing and use my ground cumin too, because now this actually will result in having a little bit more of a bite. You also use, fun fact, cumin in taco seasoning. So whenever you are seasoning like taco meat or beans for tacos, you usually use ground cumin to give it that flavor. There's some other things that you use as well, but if you're ever interested in making your own taco seasoning, so that it's not absolutely besieged by salt, this is one of the ingredients that goes into it. And it's actually really super easy to make. So anyway, I also forgot to put this because I apparently have lost my brain. Okay, now these two like a little bit more spice in their food. So that is why I have a little bit more of a focus on that. It is okay to focus on what your family likes. It is not restaurant cooking. It is just making sure that the people you live with and share a table with are happy. Now I'm going to mix this in. It looks like we've got our moisture at a nice level here. So now I'm going to go ahead and cover it. Chris, can you please turn on the kitchen light?
Sure.
This looks really pretty, but you can't see it right now, so my assistant over here is going to shed some light on the situation. Now I'm going to carefully lift this. See how pretty that looks with our red bell peppers? Okay, so now I'm going to cover it, and while I cover it, I'm going to... Actually, you know what? This is already mostly cooked, so let's just... You can also prepare these ahead of time if you want them to be a little bit smaller. I'm just going to mix these in so that the heat gets to them after I cover it. Now I'm going to cover this and pause. Ah, yes, the freezer of eternal tape. And then I'm going to pause this because, as boring as this has probably been so far, it will get worse if we're just sitting here. So, here we go. Okay, I'll get you some tea then. Alright. It has been about between 5 and 10 minutes. I forgot to set the timer. I cut and packaged the rest of the... What? Cabbage. See, he's trying to complete my sentences for me. Alright. So, that's about how long it took. I cut and packaged up cabbage. Okay. Now, I'm going to carefully set this so that I do not melt that. Now, as you can see, this is cooked up nicely. Now, I'm going to add the mushroom. Now, I would have added at least like 2 more mushrooms. However, as I said earlier, there was a mushroom shortage in the house. So I will just have to get more whenever I do the grocery shopping. These two love mushrooms, so we usually like to have mushrooms in a lot of our things that we cook, and it's one of the allergies that I can actually get away with to a certain extent, so... Okay, now we're going to get out the little pieces here. I'm using a chicken ramen, but it does not care. It does not matter what flavor, because we're not using the flavor packet. Now, you can use 2 of these if you want it to be heavy in... Okay. Now, I'm going to put this in the middle. I'm going to put a little bit of water in our cup. And then I'm going to do this. Now I do this because if there is no water, the noodles will not. And if we put in too much water, our lovely rest of this will not go well. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and pause this. I'm going to leave it for about a minute. And then I'm going to open it back up. So, okay, now we are resuming. I have set the timer. It's probably been a minute and a half because of all the talking. Now I'm going to flip this over, and I've kind of moved the veggies in here kind of out of the way. And what we can do is we can kind of cover it, and then our noodles will take a little bit of that moisture. It kind of just helps. Now I'm going to cover it and set the timer for 2 minutes. And then I'm going to check it, because I did not put a lot of water in it. And it may need a little bit more, and it may not. After 2 minutes, we'll know. Ramen usually takes only a couple minutes to cook. However, whenever you don't have a bunch of water in there, sometimes you can end up taking another minute or so. It needs the water, or it just doesn't want to cook. We're going to resume this now.
You okay?
Do not touch the pan with any part of your body. I'm okay. We'll see. The noodles are cooking up. No, there's not enough moisture anymore. Okay, so we're going to have to add a little bit of water. It's okay. We can fix it. I think that's one of the most important things about cooking, is not panicking. Something's not going exactly the way that you want it to, you can fix it. Unless you dump a whole bag of salt or something in there. Then there's only one solution to that, if you are that desperate to fix it, and that is to make enough to make that more proportionate. And that's not always feasible, or... Yes, Chris?
This is not one.
Nice. Can we keep going? Okay, and then we're going to talk about the history of it, okay?
Oh, that looks good. It smells good.
Good. I expect you to eat it.
I will.
Okay, now our noodles are breaking apart now. That's a good spot. We don't want to overwork our noodles with this noodles with the spatula, because we do not want them to go squish. However, I do want them to kind of separate. And I'm going to cover them with some of these veggies, some of that mixture, and now I'm going to cover it, and I'm going to set it for another, you know what, I'm going to set it for 2 minutes so that I can finish making kiddo's tea. Your tea is ready, and my timer has gone off. Okay. I'm going to get at the bottom of this pan, because we do not want it to stick. Don't do us dirty like that. Okay. Now, it looks like we're good. Now, an important thing to note is that some noodles do cook up differently. So if you are using the noodles that are traditionally for this, you may or may not actually use the same methods. It also matters if noodles are fresh or not. As dried noodles, obviously they need that moisture. I've never worked with fresh ramen noodles, so I couldn't tell you the difference. I do not have a noodle maker, and I do not have the skills to pull noodles by hand. So, I don't know. But I assume that if you have the skill to do that, you will be able to work it out. So, here we go. This is our stir-fried noodles, using ramen noodles, and not using the dreaded fish sauce. Here we go with our veggie chicken strips.
Like what strips?
I don't know, is the camera picking this up nicely? I can't take this any further without accidentally touching myself. Or risking touching myself with the very hot. You should not lift things up like this. Bad. 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 Not practicing kitchen safety. Bad. So now I'm going to serve it, and let's see.
This is gonna be tasty, Mom.
You have so much faith in me.
Why should we try?
Have I ever made anything that's not tasty?
Like that one with too much ginger, yeah.
Yeah, there was that one time where I added too much ginger.
I still taste it.
You can still taste it. By memory alone?
Yes.
There was one time I wasn't paying attention. Ah, yes. A fork. Please take it, the fork, my good sir. Alright. Remember to show off the plate. I don't know. I need to shave. Okay. And it actually has a lot more veggies than it looks. That's why I said you can add a second package of ramen if you want it to be a little heavier in the noodles. However, as you can see, it doesn't really need it. It takes surprisingly few noodles to go with our veggies. We had a pan full of veggies, and now we have this. I think we have enough for me to take your dad a plate too. But I'm not sure if he wants to be woken up because he wants to eat dinner tonight.
Okay.
That means he's got to get up a little early, so I'll ask him. I'm going to turn off the heat, and I'm going to put the lid on it. As long as you're not about to wait a bunch of time to serve it, that's usually okay. Let's get this up here in our not so great lighting. And this is our tasty lunch. As you can see, it takes about 30 minutes. But it only takes about 30 minutes because I'm meandering around on a walker. And I have to maneuver and sit every time I need to do something. But that's about how long it takes. You can probably make it in less time if you are determined to do so. But I'm not sure why, because then you would risk a little bit more burning stuff. Anyway, if you can hear it, I don't know if my laptop's picking it up. There is still sizzling happening. The pan is still hot. That is why I could turn it off completely. As long as we cover it well. Oh my goodness. I turned it in the opposite direction. Oh no. Now I'm gonna have to leave the lid off. That's a don't worry, we can fix it moment. What?
Baby shark cup.
You want the baby shark cup?
I'm thirsty, my tea is still hot.
Hold on, let me see what I cooked. Is this?
Broccoli.
No, it's not. It looks like whoever washed it didn't get the outside. Yeah, it looks like you still got some remnants of jelly on there. Sorry, honey. Here, all I've done is I've used this for dumping water and stuff.
Right, well, don't you need it?
I'll check your, I'll finish getting your cup clean, don't worry. It's okay, your dad can't feel that stuff on the outside, and he was trying to help me. So, I'll fix it. Okay, so now we're gonna go eat our lunch, and I'm gonna go see if better half wants some. And there we go. I hear silence from the tables, so that's usually a good thing. How is it?
Double thumbs up.
Double thumbs up?
Mm-hmm.
We've got double thumbs up from Kiddo, so I will go ahead and upload this, and then I will send it to the person I was planning on sending it to. Okay, I guess this one is a double thumbs up, and have a great and wonderful and blessed day. Bye!